What's good, friends? Welcome into Fantasy Focus Football alongside Field Yates and the incomparable Mike Clay, the man, the engine, the power behind the entire ESPN fantasy game. My name is Daniel Dopp. Really excited to be able to be here with you guys.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
I thought there was going to be more to that, like a but.
No, there's
you
no
also
but.
suck.
Why would I do that?
He's
Why
awesome.
would I?
I have a take. This is random, and it's one of those things that only people that are in this room would notice. You get more calls at like 9:59 a.m. than anybody else.
Why does that happen?
Are you getting a call right now?
I feel like I'm channeling my inner Matthew Berry to make sure I get a call on the
I'm
show.
actually getting messages too. Should we just take a break?
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back.
Minutes. Big show today, huh? Big show. Must draft running backs.
Yeah.
Must
And
draft.
some news. We have some news that we're going to dive into, including kind of a reset after what we heard yesterday during the mock draft about Rashee Rice.
Correct.
I'd like to think about it and get some fresh perspective from Mike as well. But I'm with you guys. I'm pumped. I can't believe that football is now 20 days away.
I know.
That's wild. I was listening to the show yesterday, but I started it a little late, so I was behind, and you guys were talking about Rashee Rice before. But I had already seen the news,
Right.
And then you were like, "Oh, well, he might miss a few games to open the season," and I was like, "Oh, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Can't trust him. Like he doesn't
It took
even know
you that long to realize that?
Like, what kind of insider is he? He doesn't even know.
Not an insider.
Yeah.
No, it's coming
I'm
in
an
20
outsider.
minutes from now in the
I'm an
future.
outsider. I'm
That's-
a fantasy football tape.
But it was fun
pump.
to watch it live because I saw you on the phone and they were talking about something else, and you just couldn't wait. And then
you knew.
Daniel kept talking and talking and talking, and you were sitting there with your phone. And then he asked you a question. You were like, "Yeah, that's fine." But we have some breaking news. And you're like,
I think it was our first breaking news of the season during the show.
It really was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So excited.
Shefty's good for probably, a dozen to 15 stories like that throughout the course of the year. So we got one checked off and many more to go. But before we do must draft,
How many days away did you say we are from football season?
20 from the Eagles and Cowboys.
20 from the Eagles and Cowboys. That means that you guys also need to be ready for everything with your draft season. And I want to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Trophy Smack because they set us up every single year.
Yeah, they do.
They have some of the best stuff to be able to give out to your league mates, whether it's good prizes or bad prizes.
Bad prizes is a bad thing to have in your league. That's my hot take.
Yes, but
Bad
they
prizes are
offer
bad.
you everything. Trophy Smack is absolutely unbelievable. Super excited to be able to do this again with them this year. Head on over to trophysmack.com and use the promo code FOCUS10 for 10% off of your order over there.
And we're not
Guys.
just saying that. I actually have their sticker draft board ready to go for next weekend or actually Sunday for my neighborhood draft. So
Nice.
ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a draft board coming into the studio as well, Mike. So it's going to be a ton of fun being able to do that. Yeah,
okay.
you're not. I guess maybe you thought you were special, but they give those draft boards to basically anyone.
See, they actually sent
I'm
me
a
a trophy
customer.
because I won. I won the leagues last year, so they gave me a trophy.
Yeah, you walked in with like 4 belts during the marathon. I feel like most of those were Trophy Smack belts as it was.
One of them was one that they.
Okay, yeah.
Here's a courtesy belt.
Some were earned.
Yeah.
One was Red Zone.
One was Red Zone,
One was
okay.
an old Flex League. Shout out Jake Seeley. One was our friends at RotoWire, who we love.
Yeah.
From them, and then one was Trophy Smack. Yeah.
You know who else we love other than Trophy Smack is our friends over at Bahamar.
Yeah.
Nice segue.
ESPN Fantasy Football Ultimate Draft Weekend is back for year 2 from August 21st through the 24th in the Bahamas. Enjoy an oceanfront stay at the luxurious Bahamar Resort and exclusive events like our one-of-a-kind Beach Combine. Mingle with celebrity guests and NFL players throughout the weekend, including Todd Gurley, Golden Tate, and Kyle Rudolph. Then get insights from your favorite ESPN Fantasy Football experts before you draft your squad at our epic live draft party. It's going to be a ton of fun. We cannot wait to be able to do that. So go
It's
check
your
that out.
last chance to buy, right?
It probably is. You're
We'll
up
be there
against
in
it.
like 5
Days
days
away,
So,
yeah, you're gonna have-
hopefully we see many of you there. I have heard some very encouraging numbers. We are way up compared to last year. So if you want to come party, do so with all of us, plus Stefania, Liz, and Laura Rutledge will be there. As you mentioned,
yeah.
the NFL alumni. We've got, and there's always a few surprises there. And the incredible staff of the Baja Mar and the BDG group, which does an absolutely top flight job of organizing this. So we are pumped.
Great people.
Love all those guys. All right, we got a little bit of news that we are going to dive into. An opening drive, I guess you could say. We got 2 pieces of news. You already mentioned the Rashee Rice. We'll talk about that in just a minute.
Yep.
But I want to start with the Quinshon Judkins news.
Yeah,
Obviously, really serious situation. It has been announced that he will not be facing charges from a situation that stemmed earlier this offseason.
Right.
Very serious, something that we don't want to make light of. However, we are a fantasy football podcast. We want to try and compartmentalize a little bit of this conversation. Now that we know he's going to be playing football, we got to kind of take a dive into what his fantasy value may be. So when you heard this news, Field, like, was there anything particular that came to your head where you're like, we still have a lot of uncertainty right now. He's still not with the team, right?
So the NFL is going to review the incident because they do that with every legal matter.
Okay.
He has not yet signed his rookie contract. He is the only member of the 2025 draft class to not sign his deal. I'm assuming that'll be done in a matter of days, probably, if not today. Maybe by the time this podcast is up for those that are listening to it, Quinshon Judkins may be under contract. I had no reaction because I had no idea where this was going to go.
Yeah.
Right. This happened just really days or weeks before training camp. And it's something that, we were just following along with the news reports. Didn't have a lot of information ourselves on it. Let's just dive into the player profile here. We can talk about the situation, and then we can try to give our best assessment of the fantasy value. Judkins was the third running back taken in this year's draft class, right? A super deep, potentially historic draft class. He was a third one taken. Of course, in the first round, we had Ashton Genty and then Omarion Hampton.
Yeah.
But Judkins was the third running back taken just ahead of his college teammate for 1 year, TreVeyon Henderson. Judkins began his college career at Ole Miss, played there for a couple of seasons, went to Ohio State. At Ohio State, in this Chip Kelly offense, they basically last year were like, neither one of you will be overtaxed. Think of it like, remember when Zeke and Tony Pollard were super dynamic in the same year where it was like Zeke did all the between the tackles dirty work and then Tony Pollard would get to bounce him outside, running opportunities and some of the receiving work. Judkins was like what Zeke was doing at that time for the Dallas Cowboys. Really good between the tackles runner, super powerful, 3rd and 1, 3rd and goal. Like he's the guy that's going to get the ball. He's got passing game, legit passing game skill set, though. He is a very, very well-rounded running back. He showed that at Ole Miss. He had back-to-back 14 touchdown seasons. I say all this to say, high pedigree prospect. And the Browns' backfield, absent Quinshon Judkins, pretty thin, right? You've been identifying Jerome Ford as a nice late-round sleeper, but
just for early season value,
correct.
which I stand by for the moment.
Jerome Ford is not a big bar for Quinshon Judkins to clear. So on paper, Mike, this would seem to be a very talented player going to a situation where he's got a legit pathway to playing time. The next question is, how much value is there in that playing time on what could be a very bad offense?
I'm with you. He was my favorite value at running back throughout, up until this situation that escalated. Obviously, we moved him way down the rankings, and now he's missed a lot of offseason as well. So even if he signs today and gets back at camp, there's gonna be a little bit of a ramp up for him.
Yep.
I have him ranked. Put it this way, I've already adjusted everything. The projections have changed. The rankings have changed within the game. The profiles have changed, you name it. He's lower than he was before this happened. And the reason is I think that he will at some point, and it might be week 4, it might be week 6. I think he'll take over clear leadership of that backfield. That's why you spend a 2nd-round pick on a running back. But I think it's going to be a slow start. And I think we have to consider that here as well. I fully expect Jerome Ford to get the start in week 1 and maybe get 15 carries and 3 or 4 targets. And Judkins maybe gets a couple touches or is a healthy scratch. Who knows? So I have him ranked. I think he's perfect world. He's maybe the first guy on your bench. Your starters are filled and then he's in that kind of Caleb Johnson sort of territory where probably going to be a slow start. You're not going to want him in your lineup week 1, but maybe a few weeks in, he starts to ramp up and becomes a fantasy starter. So without question, I think he'll be an RB2 at some point this season, but it's going to take a little time. So for now, he's in that Caleb Johnson, Joe Mixon, sort of J.K. Dobbins sort of territory of it's a little bit of a lottery ticket at the position. But unlike a lot of those guys I just mentioned, I think there's a pretty high ceiling once he gets going.
Can I give you a random comp?
Yeah.
And this is not going to inspire confidence, so just hear me out as I work my way through it. Bad offenses can still lead to useful fantasy running backs. Remember when there were some good moments from Ramondre Stevenson last year where it's this offense is bad, but he's carrying the ball 20 times and might have 3 or 4 targets in a game.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Ramondre ended up being this difference maker in fantasy. As a matter of fact, he was rather disappointing for the most part last year, but I could see on a bad Cleveland offense, you're like, all right, Judkins is getting 18 carries and 4 targets a game. He's a more talented player than Ramondre is. That, I'm using that from last year only to remind people that just because it's a bad offense, it doesn't mean that you are guaranteed to be walking into a stuck in the mud situation for fantasy.
Yeah. And Mike, what did you say that you moved him in the rankings? You had him originally. We were way down the rankings in the wide or running back, 30 to 40 range. Where has he moved?
Yeah, I had him closer to the 20 range now, closer to the 30 range right now, because we have to account for the fact that it's probably going to be a slow start, and it might be a while. We don't know for sure. I mean, he literally is still not signed. He has not practiced with the team, so it's going to end. The season is how many days away?
20 days away.
20 days away.
Yeah.
So we're getting close.
That
How
makes, like 23 from the first Sunday of the season, but basically 3 weeks for Quinshad Judkins to get up to speed.
And you kind of said this when Field was setting the table for us, but you still are buying Jerome Ford as a potential early season guy, but his draft value's got to take a little bit of a hit now.
Yeah, I think especially like 10-team leagues not as appealing because even that, if you're in a 10-team league, you probably don't want
need
Jerome Ford anyway.
Yeah.
But in a 12-team league, you might say, all right, I can get Jerome Ford now even cheaper. Now he's going to go back to being a late pick, and you might be able to start him in your flex in the 12-team league for a couple weeks.
And he could be the first player you cut from your roster that season, which is fine.
No doubt about it. Yeah.
Yep.
Other piece of news, Daniel, that you and I got to yesterday on the show, but we want to sort of get Mike's thoughts.
Kind of want to toss it over to Mike.
Yeah.
Found out that Rashee Rice.
We have to decide on that. We're in agreement. Rashee, right?
Rashee, I think so. Yeah, I heard that.
All right. Another quarter into the Bajan.
Yeah, you got me the other day. Like you were saying it, and then I was like, then I said
Then you said it.
And now I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes,
Stop it.
Hey,
Rashee Rice, obviously, we found out he is going to be able to play. It sounds like the first 4 weeks of the season because his hearing will not happen until September 30th.
Yeah, so he's guaranteed to play
to play the first 4 games of the season. We are expecting a 6-game suspension, so that would mean weeks 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then their bye is actually in week 10.
And I flubbed on yesterday. I was saying 12, not 10, which that makes a legitimate difference. I think it only makes things worse in this case.
So then would he also miss week 11 because it's a game suspension, not
games, not weeks. So we've been using 6 as the baseline, Mike, but certainly you can offer whatever insight you may have about potential other length. But we think 6 is probably right, give or take a game.
Yeah, I would say in that vicinity. I talked to Drew Davenport, who does a great job on social media as an attorney and has a good track record with estimating the length of suspensions. And he qualified this by saying that this is a very complicated situation and a very hard one to predict. But his best guess is the 4 to 5 range.
Okay,
but certainly understands it could be as high as 6 for sure. So. I projected it when I updated everything yesterday. I put it at 4 after talking to him, but then I think he was leaning a little bit more toward the 5 range. And yeah, I mean, it makes him tricky to. I feel like 4 versus 6 is kind of substantial to me.
Of course,
I mean that's a difference between like
the season.
4 games. I have him ranked 23rd. If it's 6, maybe it's 33. Then you start to get down to the Odunze and Tedero McMillan territory. But if it's only 4, and if it's 4, he comes back before the bye. I think that matters. So for now, I have him at 23. Maybe I'll put him down like a couple spots lower, but it is what it is. I mean, that's going to be tough to lose him for 5 games in the middle of the season.
A couple more reasons that we did not dive into that I think are worth stating now about why the potential midseason suspension is precipitously worse than in the beginning of the season's suspension is one. Bye week start in week 5.
Yeah.
Right. So if you have Rashee Rice and you lose him to suspension starting in week 5, and I don't know who has the week 5 buys, but if it's the Jaguars and you also have Brian Thomas Jr., well, then all of a sudden you're down 2 starting wide receivers. Whereas weeks 1 to 4, you're not going to have a player on a bye. On top of that, as the season rolls on, you know what happens? Guys get injured. So you are already going to be naturally thinner as we get to the middle of the year. You're 1 injury away from being compromised. So it's bad to have this potentially in the middle of the season as opposed to potentially at the beginning of the season. On top of that, and I was getting into this yesterday, Mike, is just you have at the beginning of the year more of a leash. Mm-hmm. Hey, if you start 0-2, you're not dead in the woods, right? You might end up finding a way to get to 2-2, and the next thing you know, you win 5 straight games.
Yep.
If Rashee Rice gets suspended week 5 and you're 1-3 and you had Rashee Rice on your roster, and you're trying to then trade away Rashee Rice, who's going to miss potentially 4 or 5 games, like your leverage is so low.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So no matter how you spin it, I think having a potential suspension in the middle of the year versus the beginning of the year is bad. I'm going to probably net out somewhere in between what you decided. You said wide receiver 23 to wide receiver 33. He'll probably be a little bit behind wide receiver 25 for me.
I think that's fair. And the one thing I want to point out too is that we're kind of operating with the assumption that he's going to be like a fringe wide receiver 1 when he comes back. Yeah. He's done that for 9 games in the NFL, and he's been out for quite a while. We don't know that for sure. What if he comes back and Travis Kelce gets going and the offense isn't as good as we thought, and Hollywood Brown really does have a role here, and Xavier Worthy, he's a first-round pick. They're going to keep featuring him like they did last year, and suddenly, and Tyquan Thornton's going to get 3 targets a game and scored some touchdowns.
Don't say that.
Like, Well,
put that
I
out
mean, he's
there.
getting hype. I mean, I moved him into the projections because he's going to make that team most likely.
Juju's going to have a role.
What if Rashee Rice is a wide receiver 3 this season when he comes back? Then
Well,
you're
then you
spending wide
probably-
receiver 2 capital on a guy that's a wide receiver 3
Yep.
and being suspended for like 4 to 6 games. So I think you have to consider that all of these variables when determining where to draft him, and that's why I said if it is 6 games, like, I mean, would anyone be shocked if Tyrone McMillan is wide receiver 9 this year? Of course not. I mean, he was an early
be
first.
surprised, not shocked. Yeah.
I mean, Brian Thomas was 3rd last year in Jacksonville. I mean, McMillan was drafted there to be a superstar, and there's certainly plenty
I
of
love that idea.
plenty of rookie wide receivers. I mean, you've made this argument for Travis Hunter. It applies to McMillan too.
Yeah.
The guy's a 5-star prospect, if you will, at wide receiver.
Good call.
And he's going in the 6th round. I have him 33rd in my ranks. I mean, you can make the case for him easily over Rice, and he's not facing suspension.
Last thing for me is we've given you some of the words of caution on Rashee Rice, kind of the downside scenario, right?
Yeah.
Which is A, he gets suspended, which isn't a guarantee, but it certainly seems likely. B, that it's like 6 games, where there's also a scenario where he gets suspended and it's 3 games, which would not be as punitive. On top of that, the other side of this is, hey, like, if you are somebody that drafts Rashee Rice, you have him for the first 4 weeks, and you start 4-0, and you hold the tide until he comes back, that's a massive, massive upside play compared to pretty much any other wide receiver that you're going to be drafting right there based off what we know of those players. So he is a super duper high upside pick, just with massive, massive risk because there's a chance that you miss him for the bulk of the impactful part of the fantasy regular season.
Yeah, the meat of the regular fantasy season. As we find out more information, if we do get more before the September 30th timeline, we will give you guys an update. Sounds like the NFL
Probably not.
is in more.
I think that's going to be,
They got a lot of stuff going on there they got to figure out.
I think we're kind of, until September 30th, we're going to be in the hurry up and wait mode on Rashee Rice, and we're going to just expect that something takes place.
Get ready to be fluid with your roster
guys,
management.
I know I said, like, we don't know, like, it's the chances of him not being suspended are like 1%.
Low.
Like, he was charged with something, pled guilty. Like, this is all like right out of the playbook of like, you're going to get suspended. It's just a matter of how long.
Yeah, and we feel pretty confident when you draft him, you should expect 4 to 6 games. We
Yes.
say that with a lot
Fair
of
way of
confidence.
describing it.
All right, let's dive into our 9 must-draft running backs
Yeah.
in 2025.
So once again, we did it. We all submitted names blindly. We don't know who each other picked. It's possible that we had some crossovers, but we submitted 5 and we ended up getting assigned 3.
3 apiece.
So we like this. We like this segment. We need a name for it.
Yeah, we need a
Three's
third and,
company?
third and
3
long.
blind mice.
I was just going to say that. I swear. to you.
Stop.
I cannot believe.
3 blind mice.
When you said we submit them blindly, I was just about to say that could be the name.
3
Wow.
blind mice.
That could be the segment name.
That's pretty good.
Presented
I
by
texted
Chuck E.
you guys,
Cheese.
and I had a
The
couple
mouse.
random suggestions, things to do with the word number 3 or
we
9.
change it to 3 blind mics.
Yes, even better.
But then what about you guys?
Well, we can just
You guys do it too.
We can just change
Is
our rankings.
that just because I'm the blind one? And you guys
I
know what you're
guess.
doing?
Yeah. All right,
Blind mics.
let's dive into these running backs. Field, I'm going to start with you, as we usually do. Give me your first must-draft running back of 2025.
Okay, so I'm going to read these as they're listed on our rundown. This is not like my absolute number 1 pick. As a matter of fact, mine's the last player I talk about is my number 1 must draft running back.
Are you giving us all of them, or are you giving us
I'm
your
going to
first
give you one right now.
Okay,
We'll
give
go
me
around
one.
in a circle here. So, number 1 for me, RJ Harvey. Broncos, second round pick
All right.
out of UCF. And here's
Interesting.
the reason why. The conceit of this is, I think, important. So everybody knows that RJ Harvey has had the roller coaster ride of his ADP this offseason, right? He gets drafted in the second round to a pretty thin backfield, a guy
So
that,
far, so great.
Yep. Sean Payton immediately started talking very kindly about him, right? Which he's definitely more prone to that than most head coaches. But the Sean Payton praise didn't hurt. I loved the player coming out of college. I've said this on this show previously. And this was one of the players where I was on a little bit of an island during the pre-draft process in terms of how bullish I was on him compared to consensus NFL draft rankings. So the Broncos saw it comparably to how I did. I thought this was a clear top 5 running back in this awesome draft.
Blame if he stinks, then
That's
coming
right.
right for him.
I know, yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Blame me. That's right. Blame me on this, and then blame Mike on Jamar Chase.
Yeah,
Internet
exactly.
took that one well, huh?
Oh my God! Yeah, I did not expect that. I thought it was just an interesting nugget, and I thought I explained through it well, which is to say we still like him a lot, and still everyone was like,
The problem is you gave the internet too much
Yeah.
credit to actually
"I
watch
know."
the
Yeah,
video.
that was
well,
nice.
I just put out an NFL piece today, ranking every unit and every team, and you can. I immediately muted that conversation.
Get ready for it.
Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
So RJ Harvey, pedigree player, talented player, goes to a really good spot. Then in like June, the Broncos signed J.K. Dobbins, who is a good player, right?
Yeah.
Like J.K. is just a
ADP
rock
down.
solid running back, and the ADP for R.J. Harvey has dropped. Here's why he's a must-draft running back for me, is this is relative to where he is going. And it's not a guarantee, but if these players were to be the clear-cut running back in their own offense, your gut instinct is which of these guys you think has the highest ceiling, factoring in offensive line situation and the player skill set. I'm just going to list 5 that are being drafted right around the same spot.
Okay.
Tony Pollard, Brian Robinson, Caleb Johnson, Tyrone Tracy, R.J. Harvey. If those guys get the job sort of, I'm not saying exclusively to themselves, but like if this guy steps in and has a clear-cut running back one in his own offense role, is there one of those guys that you're like, I think the upside of this player surpasses the rest?
Yeah, I think I would agree with Harvey because of the scheme with Sean Payton.
Right.
I agree with you.
Number one offensive line last year in run block and pass
Yeah,
block
they're
win
terrific,
rate was
yeah.
the Denver Lions, the
Denver
Detroit Lions. Denver Broncos is who I was trying to say. I would argue, my argument is that, like, if you told me he was the number one running back in his own offense, I think it's a higher value player than Tony Pollard or Caleb Johnson
Agreed.
or Tyrone Tracy
Agreed.
or Brian Robinson. Robinson might have the best argument because I do like the player a lot, and I think that there is just massive touchdown upside there because Jaden Daniels is that dude. That being said, I just, when you're drafting at these spots and you're thinking about the upside, I'm not saying the downside doesn't exist for R.J. Harvey, but I do like the potential value you could get. Like if he becomes the guy, and J.K. Dobbins has been a massive injury risk throughout his career, I think you'd feel really good about R.J. Harvey.
Yeah, I almost wish the chatter was kind of the opposite on Dobbins and Harvey, though, where like Harvey was getting more passing down work, because now it's like the pass blocking is going to J.K. Dobbins and Harvey's maybe the lead back and early down back. So I want to make sure that he's going to out-target J.K. Dobbins and be out in the field when they're throwing the football. I still have it. I have their targets close now, but I do have Harvey a little ahead in carries as well. So I'm fine with this. I mean, I have Harvey at 25, so about where he's going ADP was.
I'm
What
fine
an
with it.
endorsement there.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I
You're up
agree.
next.
I like him. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm next. All right. First on my list is James Conner.
All right.
It's on my list.
I'm fine with that.
You're fine with that? Okay. Well, you should
Was
be
RJ
ecstatic about it.
I'm
okay?
guessing R.J. Harvey.
R.J. Harvey was not on my list. No.
Okay, James Conner
He
made
was
my
not on mine.
list. Yep.
He did?
Yes, he did.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was my number two.
Yeah, I like him a lot. The floor James Conner has given us has been incredible. And I know that he's been knocked for health because he doesn't usually make it through the season, but it hasn't really mattered because when he's played, he's been so good.
Yeah.
At least 220 touches, 1,080 yards, and 8 touchdowns in 4 consecutive seasons. Again, that
All with the
surprised
Cardinals.
me.
Yep.
Career highs last year in touches and yards. The receiving floor helps a lot. At least 3 targets, 2 catches in 12 straight games to finish last season.
Yep.
He has the highest catch rate among running backs since he was drafted.
83.1%.
83%. That's right. And
0.1.
I didn't round it because I'm not the stat guy here. But of course, Field would remember that. So
The
yeah,
smile on your face when you said 0.1. I wish everyone could have seen it.
I round down because I'm cool.
Is that what it is?
Is that what the kids do these days?
That's cool
Yeah,
kids
no,
round
They
down.
eat and they
I use
round down?
decimals like nerds. I round down. Anyway, top 20 fantasy running back 4 years running, top 15 all 4 of those seasons.
Yep.
So he has been awesome. I know he's 30 now, which usually I'm out on, but much like Alvin Kamara going in the 4th round last year, I think that he's fallen to a place where I'm comfortable taking him.
I mean, really, since he got to the Cardinals, he's been very, very healthy,
Unbelievable.
super durable,
Yep.
super consistent. 14.5 carries per game since signing with Arizona. He's awesome. He's just and I am not, I think all of us are dubious that it's going to be the Trey Benson and James Conner show. I think it's going to be James Conner with like more appearances from Trey Benson than last year, but not demonstrable.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask a question around that.
Okay.
Do you think that, given the fact that a lot of people, when they hear the name James Conner, right, just fantasy football is emotional, they hear a guy that, he's probably going to miss a couple games a year.
I think the tide's turned on him.
Yeah, and based on what you've just described, it feels that way. So my question is, even though we've heard the team talk about Trey Benson, is he someone that you would target in like a 12-team league as a potential like back-end
Benson's
insurance
play?
running back?
Yeah, I would have him.
There's
on
enough
my
value
insurance
there
list.
to think
For sure.
about it.
I believe in the player. I thought I had
exactly.
a late 2nd round grade. He ended up going in the 3rd last year in a bad running back class, but he's legit.
Okay.
There were some growing pains last year, but the buzz about him playing more, I'm not sure I buy, but I am putting some stock into like the feeling around the organization that he is more comfortable this season.
Yeah, maybe like a Tank Bigsby type this year, where he makes a leap in year 2 as more of a role. But the problem is, whereas Travis Etienne had that huge workload and fell off last year, I don't expect that from James.
Yeah, with you on that one. All right,
got?
my first must draft running back. You guys, you gotta. This is for the brand. You know what I mean? I got to talk about Chase Brown.
Oh, yeah.
How can I not talk about Chase Brown?
I'm just
Good
surprised
answer.
you didn't save him for last, but okay.
Yeah.
Listen,
Good answer. Yeah.
I feel like his ADP has started to rise a little bit. We've been talking about him here on Fantasy
rising.
Focus a bunch. And so I would like to either take credit or say, let's not get too out of control with this because I don't want him to get too high. However, I love Chase Brown. I've been comparing him all offseason to Austin Eckler. He is my Austin Eckler light when I watch his game. He became the starter in week 9. I've been saying this for weeks. Once he became the starter, running back 2 in targets, running back 2 in catches. He was running back 3 in goal-to-go rush attempts and running back 4 in fantasy points per game. He did everything in that offense once he became the main running back. And now he's got Samaje Perine and Taj Brooks behind him. Neither one of them give me significant pause. If the team is worried about someone of his stature and body size being able to take a full workload, they didn't really address it with their actions in a major way.
Yeah.
So I'm fully back in on Chase Brown. I think he's going to be in a top 5 offense again, like I've been saying. So I have him as my running back 9. Consensus is running back 10. I'm all in.
I think there are probably 2 things that could make this not look like a great call, because I largely agree with it. One thing would just be he is a smaller back, and like the rigors of a full season for him might hit a little bit different than a Derrick Henry or Bajan or somebody who's got great size. 2 is we need Samaje Perine to not be too much of a thing. But Samaje Perine is like Old Faithful for this team. Mm-hmm. Remember like Giovanni Bernard? I was thinking about cueing my Stephen Che voice. Giovanni Bernard. Oh,
Nailed it.
He was always the guy that, not I guess for the Bengals too, but like for the Bucs, just like quarterbacks always trusted him because he was good in pass pro and did his job on third down situations. There's probably some of that with Samaje Perine. There's a reason why they brought him back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still think Chase Brown's going to have a massive role.
Any concerns with Taj Brooks? I mean, can you on his
Not
profile?
really. I liked him. He's a sort of this like wide-bodied but like short-statured running back out of Texas Tech who just had crazy production, just like a human pinball in the backfield. Like to play, not like a super dynamic athlete, but a good runner for sure. Has good quickness and like definitely can handle a lot of carries. But six round pick. I'm not super concerned there.
All right, Field, give us your second one.
My next one, and probably not a surprise, we've talked about him a lot recently, but TreVeyon Henderson.
Yep. He's on my list. Yeah.
And he's probably going to end up like, I mean, we saw him on the marathon mock draft go 40th overall.
Yeah.
So like there's a chance that Henderson, like the value will have jumped the shark on Henderson by the time we get to the heat of draft season. But, again, just like this is instant offense for a team that is desperate for playmakers. TreVeyon Henderson is exactly what the Patriots need right now. Besides Stephon Diggs, there's no Patriots wide receiver that I'm like absolutely certain will have value in a 10-team league, because I think there's a chance that like the best weapons in this offense might be 1, Stephon Diggs, and 2, TreVeyon Henderson. Like Ramondre Stevenson having a role, I've actually come around to this, is maybe like a good thing for Henderson. Not a huge role, but a role. Like let him be the Thunder to Henderson's Lightning. And I don't know, man. I said this. I'm going to use some of the similar logic that I've used with Travis Hunter in Jacksonville, where like when you're trying to get your quarterback to reach his peak, you want to make sure you're giving him all the resources around him. This Patriots team wants to see Drake May take a big leap, and we all have confidence that can happen. The best way to do that is to give him pieces around Drake May, and Henderson is just he's like you put him in the microwave, and next thing you know, it's like 50 yards. Like he is a superb athlete.
His ADP over the last 7 days at ESPN Fantasy has driven 12 spots, so a full round.
That's gigantic,
based on what we've seen. Yeah,
and it'll continue to go up.
And you mentioned this with Ramondre Stevenson. I'll say this quickly, Mike, and then I'll let you jump in. I don't want to compare everything to the Lions, but if you told me that Ramondre Stevenson can be that guy, kind of like that David Montgomery, where it's like, I'm going to pound the defense, I'm going to wear them down, and then you can let TreVeyon Henderson's skill set be like, all right, now that you guys are tired, I'm going to come in here and you do what I do best. Like that's ideally, if we could have Ramondre Stevenson in that kind of a role, it'd be perfect for him.
Yeah, and this offense could potentially be really good. I mean, I'm starting to get some feelings like I need to make sure I get more Drake May. I
little
feel
more.
like they're really good. It could happen. Like he can make such a big leap this year.
Drake May has risen 12.9 spots over the last 7 days in ESPN ADP.
He's like stupid talented.
Drake, yeah, that's what I mean. And my point being, this could be a really good offense. If Drake May's the real deal, they could score a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah.
And it's going to and Henderson will be a big part of that. So
big time cart before the horse energy here, but like Drake May, I think, amongst the young quarterbacks in the NFL, has the best chance to develop into like dollar store Josh Allen in the next couple of years.
Yeah,
right. Just gigantic,
or maybe more than that.
Gigantic quarterback. Yeah, that's probably not fair enough. Like junior, junior Josh Allen, right? Like gigantic cannon of an arm, has some like serious like. There's and this is sometimes for Josh early in his career it wasn't the best thing, and I think for Drake we're maybe going through that phase too. Big time like. Make something happen energy on the field sometimes, right? Like there was in that preseason game, like Drake May could have just taken a sack, which sometimes sacks are good for quarterbacks. And instead he tried to like throw the ball to the sideline and just like the ball fell out of his hand. But that can be good for fantasy eventually, right? Like some of those YOLO plays that turn into big scrambles for the quarterback.
Didn't you tell me that, am I making this up, or was Drake May the quarterback that had 0 designed rushes last year?
Until week 16.
Period,
yeah.
Until week 16. Yeah, coaching negligence really got in the way of Drake May.
Yeah, we should definitely see an elevation of that.
Yeah. That's my pick. How about you?
I like it. My pick is Jaydon Blue, who I've talked about quite a bit.
Was not on my list.
Got to take that. Got to take that late flyer on Jaydon Blue. We look at these backfields that are essentially wide open, can go either direction. A starter that doesn't really move the needle. I compared him during the marathon to, could he be this year's Tyrone Tracy Jr.? Yep. Tracy was a 5th rounder last year. We looked at that depth chart and said there's an opportunity here. Devin Singletary is the lead back. Perhaps he can, show his skills as a young player and take control, and he did exactly that. Same thing in Dallas. Javonte Williams, it's been a couple of years now of inefficiency. Yep. Miles Sanders lost his job to Chuba Hubbard in Carolina, was cut loose. Now he's on Dallas. Jaydon Blue at some point should get an opportunity, at least some touches to show what he can do. And if he's the most explosive back, I think he could take control. This is a guy that was a very effective rusher, which I think kind of flies under the radar for him. 5th best yards after contact in this class during his collegiate tenure. And as you know, this is a terrific running back class. Yep. 42 catches last season, which is a high number for a running back in one season. Ran a 4.38. He's a little undersized and had some fumble issues. But again, I've talked about this before. 196 pounds these days where you're utilizing multiple backs, it's not as big of a deal. You can still you get 15 touches, be efficient, and be a fantasy starter. So
thank you for saying 196 pounds is not that big of a deal. That makes me feel a lot better about myself, Mike. I appreciate it.
Our dad bods.
I mean, yes, exactly. For a podcaster, that's a conversation.
Come on. But big dude for a podcaster.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Bold take, hot take here. Based off of my evaluation of Jaydon Blue in the draft, I feel like the range for him is actually like, there's not that many things I think can happen with Jaydon Blue this year. I think he's either a league winner or it's like a healthy scratch for the Cowboys a lot of weeks. Because you're right, like your eval was money. No surprise there. Mike does a ton of great work on the draft too. He glides in the open field. The first time I watched Jaydon Blue, this is going to sound bombastic, but the first time I watched him, he reminded me of Alvin Kamara. He is just sick with the ball in his hands. And he's one of those guys that like he's moving fast, but doesn't look like he is efforting that much. Kamara had an opening kickoff return his rookie season against the Buccaneers. And you're just watching him and you're like, dude, start running. And then you're like, wait, why is he getting further and further away from the coverage team? He's like 20 yards ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
Jaydon Blue has some of that to his game. He's a great pass catcher. You mentioned. The reason he went in the 5th round is there are like real reliability question marks here, both as like ball security, that's a problem. And then just like, are you going to know exactly where you're going to be and what you got to do on every single play? Brian Schottenheimer talked about this recently, by the way. He was like, not going to lie, like it was a bit of a slow start for Jaydon to like get up to speed on some of the details. And he said like he's come a long way in a short period of time since then. But that's why I think that like the range is either like, he's the Cowboys starting running back and he's awesome, or Javonte Williams is getting you 3 yards in a cloud of dust, but at least he's doing the right thing every single play. And so I love that. I think the pick's great though. I mean, what you're getting him in what the
12th, 13th, 14th. Yeah,
he's basically
free.
Right. So
late pick. Yeah, it could be a starter.
Seems like an obvious thing to say, Field, but like, don't most of the like rookies in the NFL go through the thing that Brian Schottenheimer just said? Like the idea, we've gotten so enamored with these guys that can just come in and do it right away. But the truth is, most of these guys, like it still takes a minute. You're rookies in the NFL for a reason.
It makes you appreciate some of the guys that don't go through that, right? I mean, like Jaden Daniels, anomaly, Brock Bowers, anomaly, even guys that don't have like crazy, super productive rookie seasons. They just have like solid seasons fit into that category. But yeah, I mean, this is like, there are some growing pains. Like I mentioned a couple of days ago when Mike was on the show, like I think Luther Burden is going to have some growing pains.
Right.
Like I've been reading about Olamide Zaccheaus in the past couple of days. You know why? Because you know who's more talented? Luther Burden.
Yes.
You know who's going to do the right thing on every single play?
Lamade
Zaccheaus.
Yep.
Who's your next pick, Daniel?
Well, speaking of the Chicago Bears, I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift.
I like it. I believe he was on my list.
He was
My
not on
running
list,
back
but I like
21. He is a consensus running back 20. Did you know that he has finished as a top 20 running back in total fantasy points for 5 straight seasons?
I have a take on this.
Okay, bring it.
Don't you feel like with DeAndre Swift, like the concept of him has always been this guy who could just be ridiculously elite?
Yes.
And we saw that one year with Philly where he was top 5 in the NFL in rushing.
Yep.
And so it makes you feel like a little cold when at the end of the year you're like, DeAndre's like he never
He hasn't
wins
got
you the
that next
championship,
level. Yeah.
but he actually has carried more value than people have given him credit for. And I think it's because there are a lot of expectations.
We've seen his skill set utilized in so many different ways. As when he was with the Detroit Lions, his second year in the season, he had 62 receptions for almost 500 yards.
Yep.
And so we watched him be this unbelievable pass catching back with Detroit. And then you watched him go to the Eagles, right? Eagles have an incredible offensive line.
Yep.
You watched him be a really good running back as just a rusher,
Yeah.
right? He did much better there than he did as a pass catcher. Obviously, the Eagles don't throw the ball a lot. So it's like I've seen him do well in all of these different skill sets. Now the question is that he has Ben Johnson as his head coach and offensive coordinator. Does it feel like he's going to be able to be that guy, or the play caller, I shouldn't say OC. Is he going to be able to be that guy that finally all gets put together, right? I think that when I look at DeAndre Swift, with where he's being drafted, he's been a top 20, and on a per-game basis, I think his lowest season was running back 23. Right now, you're getting him around running back 21.
Yeah.
So I think you're basically getting him at a fairly safe floor.
Yeah.
But if you said to me that there was upside that you were banking on in this offense, this would be one of the years where I would bank on that upside for DeAndre Swift. It is not definitely like a guarantee where you're going to get that production, but there's a lot of things that are all in line that if they work out, we could finally see the culmination of Swift's entire game coming together.
Yeah, you mentioned he was top 20 last year, and he only scored 6 touchdowns.
Yep.
I mean, he played in every game. He was 10th in carries, 14th in targets, so doing it as a rusher and a pass catcher, to your point that he can do both of those things. But 3.8 yards per carry, that was actually a career low, so that can go up, especially if the offense is better and Caleb Williams' second season with Ben Johnson there, and you would expect the touchdown total to go up as well, which is how I have it projected. And by the way, he entered the league young. He's 26. So he's not, we're not talking about another like 30-year-old running back here. He probably has a couple good years left. And I don't know if you just mentioned this. I apologize if I just spaced on that part and was thinking about numbers or something, but not much competition for touches there with
I have it written down, but I didn't mention it.
I didn't think you said it, so I didn't hear Monangai.
Nope.
I didn't hear that word. So,
and I do want to say this too. Like the first 3 years of his career, I don't want to say he got known as like getting hurt or being injury prone, but he definitely missed a handful of games with the Lions. The last 2 years, he played 16 games with the Eagles and 17 games with the Bears.
Yeah.
So it feels like he's been on the field more. Roshan Johnson doesn't really move the needle for me. Should Kyle Monangai move the needle more for me, Fields?
I think that Kyle Monangai would be one of those rookies that we were talking about who like does exactly what you expect him to do. I'm not sure there's going to be like a statistical profile that matters this year, but like he's kind of an RB coach, or a running backs coach's dream. Has 0 fumbles in college, steady in pass pro. If he's supposed to run through the B gap, he runs through the B gap. He's not worried about like trying to turn like what could be a 2-yard gain into a 50-yard gain. He's like, I will take a 4-yard gain. So he's going to be.
Coaches love that.
And by the way, who is the Bears running backs coach now? Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy is absolutely enamored with the details in a good way, right? Like he wants the absolute best out of his running backs in every single snap. If you don't hold up your end of the bargain, you're going to hear from Eric Bieniemy. So I do think it's important to know that Monangai may have a role, but I don't think it's going to be like a prolific role that has fantasy value absent DeAndre Swift getting hurt.
All right. Field, give us your third one.
Last one for me is Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving, who, of course, you're going to have to get him round 2 at probably maybe the latest, truthfully.
Near my Chase Brown pick.
Yep. So there were just 3 players in the entire NFL last year who had at least 100 rushing attempts while averaging 5 or more yards per carry, and 30 or more receptions while averaging 8+ yards per catch. Those 3 players, by the way, happened to have over 200 carries each, but they were Bucky Irving, Saquon Barkley, and Jahmyr Gibbs. So excellent company for Bucky Irving to keep. This is a guy who is just, he's a big play waiting to happen, right? Both as a runner and as a receiver. He had 47 catches last year. This offense is going to be explosive once again. The defense will be better, but I still think the offense is going to have to play in a decent number of shootouts this upcoming year. Plus, you get 6 games in a division where no defense scares me.
Yeah, correct.
Atlanta, Carolina, and New Orleans do not scare me one bit defensively, to the point that, like, it's just like there are some tough roads to hoe in other divisions.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Lions have a pretty tough schedule. Like,
in that division, there are some games where you're just like, damn, like really, like imagine, like if Baltimore puts it together defensively this year. Cleveland has lots of defensive talent. Like Joe Burrow's gonna have 6 tough games a year in his own division, right? And I'm not downgrading Joe. I'm just saying, like, you know, there are times during the season where we're sitting there and you're like, oh, how did like Joe Burrow like come in at like a quarterback 9 this week? And it's like, oh, he draws the Steelers, who are awesome defensively and have given him fits in the past. So, anyways, I just love the player. The common theme for my 3 picks is young guys, all guys going into either their rookie or second seasons here. Big fan of Bucky Irving. I think the passing game role could expand a little bit this year. Rachaad White will play, but this is another one where like having a presence of a second back is actually a good thing for the player because it takes a little bit of the load off of Bucky that keeps him fresher throughout the course of the year. He's also a tough son of a gun. This guy played through a back injury late last season, did Bucky Irving. And like, I remember it'd be like Wednesday practice, nothing. Thursday practice, nothing. Friday practice, like he would take 1 rep and then Sunday he'd ball out for like 100 yards and a touchdown. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah. I like it. I think Mike of the past might have been like, he's 192 pounds, but something, you know, we have to evolve our analysis and the game keeps changing and we've seen exceptions. You know, sometimes there are exceptions to the rule. Devon Achane was one last year. But, you know, in the past, we've had Chris Johnson, Austin Eckler, Ray Rice, Warwick Dunn, Jamal Charles, Philip Lindsay, Steve Slayton, Ahmad Bradshaw, like some of the
Lindsay,
some of these guys can get away with being a little under 200 pounds and be fantasy relevant for a long period of time because they are exceptions to the rule. And once they're established, they seem to hang on and get it done. By the way, I wanted to roll back because I couldn't remember who said it, and I wanted to look it up. But you were talking about like. What did you just say about like you'll get 3 yards if you want 3 yards you'll get 3 yards?
You were talking about Kyle Monangai.
Yeah, it was Leroy Hoard's quote. Remember that quote? He said he was a short yardage back. He said if you need 1 yard, I'll get you 3 yards. If you need 5 yards, I'll get you 3 yards. It's one of my favorite all-time NFL quotes.
Oh man,
3 yards every time. That's all you get.
That reminds me of one of the greatest stat lines of all time. Didn't like Jerome Bettis?
Yeah.
6 carries for like -1 yards and 3 touchdowns.
And 3 touchdowns. Yeah.
I love those stats. They're my favorite.
All right.
Mike, give us one more
for each one of you guys. Yeah.
Last one for me. It is Tyrone Tracy Jr.
Oh,
One of
nice.
my favorite value targets all offseason long. His ADP probably going up a little bit because Cam Scatterbo is injured right now, but I think he had a good chance to be the 1A at the very minimum all offseason long. We saw 11 full games last year. He took lead back duties in week 5, but then played 11 games with Devin Singletary, playing somewhat of a role. Played 67% of the snaps, 13.2 carries, and 3.5 targets per game. Got to 65 yards in 9 of those 11 games. Was RB23, which wasn't great fantasy-wise. I mean, you're talking about an RB2, a fringe RB2, but I mean, that offense was really bad last year, and we expect it to be better this year with the ability to run more. I think the defense is actually a top 10 defense on paper, and obviously a better quarterback play with Russell Wilson or Jackson Dart under center. So yeah, I like Tracy. Where he's going in drafts is appealing. You know, 7th round or so, could be a weekly starter. Yeah, like him.
I like him based on the ADP with where you're getting him because you're not having to spend an early round pick on him, right? Like
yeah.
that's where a lot of the value comes in. I like that as well.
All right, be a RB2 this year.
I got another guy that's a little bit lower on down the list. I need you to hear me out here, but I would have Jordan Mason as my 3rd running back. My running back 34, consensus running back 40. Came out super strong to start the season last year. He was RB4 through the first 4 weeks of the season. Then he banged up his shoulder in week 6. And then his shoulder got re-banged up again in week 8. And then he ended up missing the rest of the season in once week 13 came around. And he ended up being put on IR with a high ankle sprain. He's a hammer, though. I mean, he's 5'11", 233. I think that in this offense, especially with what you saw Aaron Jones do last year, most carries of his career, most goal line carries of his career, I think a lot of that is going to go to Jordan Mason. I do want to say this. He's not going to be a pass catcher, right? Like, that's Aaron Jones' role in this offense. And we know that. I think that if I'm being honest, he's probably a touchdown-dependent RB3 or flex play for you during bye weeks when you're needing to be able to fill someone in your lineup. Hold on. But I also believe he's one of the better insurance running backs in the NFL because if anything happens to Aaron Jones, I believe he will be ranked as a top 20 running back with ease in this Kevin O'Connell offense. So I think I'm being more realistic than I am optimistic. But the point is, with where you're getting him, I do believe there will be some seasons where he will, or some weeks in which he will get the start this year. So he is one of those insurance backs that I just like targeting later on in drafts. But I don't want to. I'm not trying to, I think Liz had said maybe top 20. I don't want to go that far. I just like him as one of my favorite insurance backs in the NFL.
Question for you. You mentioned how you think there are going to be some weeks where he has value.
Yep.
Are those going to be weeks that we anticipated, or you think this is more of like Aaron Jones is healthy, good to go, but third drive, Jordan Mason rips off a big run, and Kevin O'Connell is like, keep that guy in.
That's a great question.
Okay, so the way that you respond to that makes me think it's more along the lines of like we're not going to really know.
I'm not going to know, but I think I would bank on the idea that there will probably be a week or two where I feel like Jordan Mason gets the start. The same way that I feel like Zach Charbonnet every year gets like 1 or 2 weeks, whereas Ken Walker is going to miss a game or two.
Yep.
Like there's a reason though why I'm talking about him as like a late round guy, not someone you're investing in early round draft.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to like him, but I feel like he has roadblocks to being even a good insurance back. And the two main things are lack of receiving. Even if he starts, is Ty Chandler out there in passing situations?
Let's hope not.
Do they trade a conditional 7th for Devin Singletary? Like, could they address that position, add another back to that backfield? And the other thing is this offense. Like I've talked about this, Kevin O'Connell, 3 straight years, they've scored 80% of their touchdowns through the air.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why Aaron Jones didn't even score that many touchdowns last year. Like, is there going to be room for Jordan Mason? Even if he gets goal line work, does he score 5 touchdowns this year? And he has 14 career catches and he's 26 years old. Like, I don't know that he's going to make up for it with receiving. So I actually would disagree with you that he's a top insurance back. I think if you were to erase all the number 1 backs and rank everyone else, I think you're going to end up with him like maybe 15th or something, because he's a good rusher. He's an effective rusher, albeit on 250 career touches, but
worried about the
know.
touchdown opportunities.
Yeah, touchdown opportunity and receiving, I think could be detriments to him. So I'm not.
Right.
I just feel like the ceiling for him is not
Bearish
there compared to these other running back flyers like Algier and even Jalen Wright and Braylon Allen and like Drake Benson, Charbonnet. Like I think all those guys would be ahead of him.
I appreciate this positive discourse, Mike. I appreciate that.
I'm being nice about it.
I know you are.
He thinks the answer was fine.
Yeah, the answer.
You know what?
He's
fine.
Where he's being drafted is fine.
He doesn't even want to say fine.
Well, you look at the other guys I just listed; they're all going after him. Like you could take Algier and Wright like 4 rounds later than where Mason's going. I just think I don't know. Maybe if your argument is like I think it's Aaron Jones at 30, I think he lost it. He's going to lose work this year. He's going to miss time. So that's why I want Mason, because then. If that's it, if it's a fade Aaron Jones argument, then fine. That's a different conversation.
I don't mind fading Aaron Jones, but I don't feel comfortable taking it to the step where I say I think a guy is going to miss games because he's just going to get injured. I don't feel like I can prognosticate that.
You can apply that to basically
anyone in the NFL, right? Every running back. Yeah. So I would love to know in chat, do you guys have a must draft running back in our YouTube chat that you want to be able to grab so far this year? Throw it in the chat. We would love to know who you guys want to be able to grab. All right. We're going to switch over to Field in the Blanks.
Hey, yo.
We got a couple of questions here that we're going to ask Field. Yates, Mike, you and I can weigh in as well once we're done. But Field, we're going to start with this one. The late round running back who will win fantasy leagues is?
Let me start by saying this. If it's a late round running back who has a perfect profile, he shouldn't be going late rounds, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, if you hear my answer and you're like, yeah, but this, that, and the other, that's why he's going the late round.
That's why he's going the late round.
These are bold. This is like a bold take segment. Yeah.
Braylon Allen. Mike just mentioned his name. Now, the hype train has certainly, left the station for Braylon Allen so far this preseason for the Jets. I think Braylon Allen is a little bit geared to look great in preseason when it's pads and there are some live reps, but preseason tends to lend itself really well to guys who are super fast or guys that are super gigantic. And Braylon Allen is gigantic. That much is for sure. He was the youngest player in the draft. I remember like 17-year-old Braylon Allen posted a picture on like his commitment to Wisconsin. And I was like, I've never seen someone that large in my entire life. But a lot of hype surrounding Braylon Allen so far this season. He was a 4th-round pick last year. And that was like going into the 2023 college football season, leading into the 2024 NFL draft. A lot of people, present company included, thought there was a chance that Allen could be like a 2nd-round pick if things broke well for him. He does have some ability in the passing game as well, but most importantly, it's like we just have no idea what's going on with Breece Hall right now. The Jets seem to be talking up his passing game value, which is legit. He is a very capable pass catcher despite a lot of drops last season from Breece Hall. But are they saying that because they're also insinuating his running game role is going to go down? If Braylon Allen leads the Jets in rushing attempts this year with 220, obviously Justin Fields is going to run the football a good amount as well, then him going, at least on ESPN ADP for free, 166.5 to me is too good to ignore.
That's literally free in drafts.
Can I give you a name? Because I'd like to get you a scouting report.
Jaydon Blue is a good one, though.
Yeah, Jaydon Blue, I didn't go with because we just talked about him, but I want to get your scouting report on this guy because he didn't get any hype really during the draft process that I saw. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt in Washington. This is a deep flyer. I guarantee people watching this right now, if you're like in a dynasty or keeper league, you already did your rookie draft. I bet he's on some waiver wires still out there, but he's getting some hype. He is
getting some hype. He is the reason why he wasn't talked about a ton during the pre-draft process. He had this very weird final year college experience. He ended up in Arizona, and as you guys know, like everybody transfers in college football now, but he transferred on multiple occasions. He was at Arkansas State and then New Mexico, and then ended up at Arizona. Plays the first game or one of the first games last season for Arizona and looks good, and then is ruled ineligible for the rest of the season. But it was one of those where like he was continuing to fight to become eligible all year. It was kind of a bizarre case within the college football world. He actually got invited to the Shrine Bowl game like a day before the game itself. And they gave him a helmet, gave him a jersey. And then he was, I think, like one of the team offensive MVPs. He rushed for like 100 yards. It is all natural for this guy. Like just big, physically imposing athlete. Give him the football and just like tell him to run and he'll find good things. I think there's some questions, at least there were some questions to me about like the instincts and just like the understanding of how to be patient when you're facing elite defensive fronts, which you'll see at the NFL level. But you're right, that drum beat's been loud during the preseason, looked pretty good in their first preseason game. They play, of course, Monday Night Football, ESPN this week. So there's something there for sure. Talented player.
Yeah, I think he's not a guy you're going to start probably early in the season, but Brian Robinson Jr. was one of the few running backs that missed a lot of time last year. He was just in and out. Austin Eckler is now, he's going to be an impact player, I think, for some or most of this season, but he's getting a little older. So it's Washington's backfield. There's a good offense, obviously. Yep. There's an opportunity there, but it could be one of those where it's there for the taking if those guys aren't really moving the needle, and maybe he's the guy that at some point this season takes control. So he's like a last round rookie draft flyer.
Yeah.
And could be one of those sneaky guys that
in a deep draft, you probably don't even need to use a draft pick on him.
You
can just grab him off of waivers.
He's borderline draftable in 12-teamers because there's a lot of running backs in that area that fit that mold, but we're looking for a guy really no one's talking about. I mean, you're hearing it, and if you're watching Washington camp, you're hearing it. You're starting to hear the name a little bit, but I think he's kind of a name just to put on the watch list. We have that watch list feature. Put him on the watch list, and certainly in deeper dynasty leagues, he should be on your roster.
Yep, nice call by Mike there as well.
My late round running back who will win leagues is Jaydon Blue, but we've already talked about him a bunch. If he can put his skill set together, there's not a lot of people in that backfield. All right, Field Yates, the running back.
Yep.
Who will have the biggest bounce back this season?
Isaiah Pacheco.
Yep, that's who I had as well.
Who was on my list of must-draft running backs. Just didn't make the cut. Pacheco, I don't know, man. He was going as a second-round pick last year, maybe even a late first-round pick in some leagues, and he had 40 opportunities between rushes and receptions in the first two games. He got hurt either late in the second game or maybe he finished the second game of last season, and they found out after the fact that he had that leg injury. And it basically cost him the most meaningful part of last year. He comes back, not the same player, clearly still dealing with that leg injury after the fact. But the Chiefs don't have somebody that is going to, obviously take away Isaiah Pacheco's role this year. They drafted in the 7th round Brashard Smith, who we've heard some flashes of from the Chiefs training camp, but it's also kind of cooled down in recent weeks. They did sign Elijah Mitchell. There's a deep cut there, former 49er, former 6th round pick, I believe it was. But I think Isaiah Pacheco going into a contract year is well positioned to have a solid season, and he's going 26 amongst running backs right now.
One of the things that I saw Andy Reid talk about, and I'm curious if you feel anything about this, but he broke his fibula last year, right? Yeah. And so as a part of that, it sounded like he kind of leaned up a bit rather than playing at a bigger playing weight. He lost quite a bit of weight, and when he came back, it's tough to quantify this, but in that angry running style, he just didn't have the same zhuzh that to borrow a word from Liz Loza, that he did when he was, fully healthy. And the idea of I hadn't practiced, I lost a little bit of that muscle mass. Sounds like Andy Reid has said he's kind of gained that back, and it'll help him be able to participate quite a bit better this year.
Yeah, that was tricky when he came back. I mean, it wasn't just he came back for 3 games. He was back for a big chunk of the rest of the season, and he averaged 8.8 touches and 4.2 fantasy points per game. And that's why I think we're all a little there's some risk here. Like just where he's going, it's not going to make or break your season.
Risky at cost.
I agree with you. I think it's totally fine. I've drafted him plenty. But there is in the back of my mind, like, why for half the season? Like that's uncommon. Lead backs. I mean, there was 32 games where he was averaging 14.5 fantasy points per game. There's a long stretch where he was our clear lead back. He misses half the season. He comes back and then never established himself again. I mean, Kareem Hunt wasn't playing well, and he was behind him. So
I just think that's body
rare.
Just was not like. I just think that's the kind of.
I'm willing to
injury
accept
like,
that
it's
to an extent. Yeah,
it's hard to get back on track without giving your body like a real prolonged rest between reps.
That's the epitome of Stephania saying there's a big difference between return to play and return to performance. He definitely returned to play.
Running backs usually come back and take back control within a game or two, and he did not do that.
He did not.
I'll just throw a couple obvious names: Ken Walker and of course Christian McCaffrey, worth a mention in this conversation.
The most obvious.
Yeah.
Low hanging fruit.
Don't need a lot
important.
of analysis there, but you know.
All right, the running back who will be the biggest bust in fantasy football field, Yates.
Just want to make sure that every camera is on me right now. So we clip this off, we blast it, send it to One Jets Drive, put this on their YouTube channel, on one of their behind-the-scenes documentaries. But it's Breece Hall. I talked about, it kind of dovetails with my pick of Braylon Allen. Again, Breece Hall might be the Jets' lead back this year, but it certainly feels like far from a guarantee, and he's being drafted not just as a starting running back, but ahead of other guys who are clearly going to be starting running backs for their team. So there's just a lot of volatility with Breece. I'm a huge fan of the player. I think he is awesome and super talented. If he makes it to free agency next year, he'll be one of the most intriguing names to hit the open market. But the Jets seem intent on playing not just Breece Hall, but also Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, their first-round pick last year, is going to have a role too. So, relative to some of the other running backs that are being drafted around Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker III, who Mike mentioned, Alvin Kamara, like it'd be surprising if those guys were really challenged at all for meaningful playing time. Breece Hall might be a 40% playtime player this year.
Yeah, I'm very worried about him. I cannot agree more. I'm out on. Yeah, as we've talked about,
You've got him as RB20, Mike. You've moved him quite a ways down that list.
He's
so
down.
Tail end RB2.
Yeah, TreVeyon Henderson's ahead of him now for me, and it didn't help seeing Isaiah Davis mixing.
Yeah, like that guy too in the draft, right?
Yeah, and that's what they started doing late last season. So it's not like this is new. I mean, this is a new regime, and they're still going to do what the previous regime was doing late last season. There's clearly a potential for, I don't want to say a full-on three-man rotation. It might be like Tampa Bay, where it's like two main guys, but you have like annoying Sean Tucker games where you have an annoying Isaiah Davis game. Like I think it might look a little bit like that. So I would agree with Breece. I think we should mention Joe Mixon, although I
almost picked him, but that's just
he's way down in our ranks now. We moved him down. He's an obvious potential bust because of the injury, but the difference between Mixon and Breece is that Breece is still going very early in drafts in the third round of 12 teamers. Mixon is plummeting.
Yep. All right, the last one here, Field Yates, the running back who will lose the most fantasy value by week 8 this year.
Well, I think we've kind of already hinted at this one. Ramondre Stevenson would be my answer here, just because I think there's a chance that it's like Monday after week 1, and we're like, dude, Ramondre Stevenson had 17 carries, and TreVeyon Henderson had 8 on Sunday. What are you guys talking about? This guy is the Patriots running back you want to know. I've used this comp before. It could be like the Bucs last year, right? Rachaad White early in the season looked kind of like Rachaad White from 2023. Eventually, the Bucky Irving show began, and once it did, it was glorious, and Rachaad White was no longer usable in fantasy. So Ramondre Stevenson is being drafted right now like a guy who's going to eventually lose value. But I just want to state that my other pick, and I think we could do like a 20-minute segment on this team because it's so complicated. My other guy that I almost mentioned, but he's being drafted so late that I felt like it wasn't sincere enough of a guess or an answer. It's Travis Etienne, man. No idea what's going to happen.
Yeah,
there.
You're right.
Doesn't feel great.
Very fascinating team all around for sure.
Yeah, I mean he could be a lead back. Like he played the starter snaps with Trevor Lawrence in their first preseason game, and if he does, he's a capable guy. He's very talented. He was the 21st overall pick in the draft. Is he even going to be on the team midway through this season?
Right.
I've got all kinds of questions about ETN.
I felt like coming into the season last year, we talked about major regression for ETN because it was just volume that he got the year before, was it not? I mean, that was a big part of it. So I do want to say this, Fields, you have Ramondre Stevenson as the running back you think will lose the most value by week 8. Our chat has TreVeyon Henderson as their must-draft running back they want to leave drafts with in 2025.
So kind of aligns well nicely.
Can I give you a really quick?
Give
us a couple.
I have a kind of a bold one that you guys aren't going to like for this answer.
Jamar Chase.
How about this one? And I'm saying this because I think he will be very good at the beginning of the season, but I think he's going to have more competition. a month into the season, Jaylen Warren. I think Jaylen Warren will be a hot commodity early in the season. We're probably going to rank him as an RB2. He'll get more carries than we're used to, and he'll have the passing game work. But I think at some point, Caleb Johnson's going to get an opportunity. I just don't know if Jaylen Warren, the way he's been utilized, is going to be a feature back for a full season. And you drafted Caleb Johnson, and he is I don't know where you were on him, but,
third round grade.
I know it's been a slow start, but I think at some point, if he starts making plays, suddenly he's going to take over that early down role. And I think it's going to move Warren down as the touches go down. So, and you know what? I could be wrong because maybe Warren can do it. Remember, Najee Harris is the only lead back that hasn't missed a game the last 4 seasons. So Warren hasn't had many opportunities to be that guy, but I just think that's something to think about if you're buying into the hype, because Warren's ADP is going up too. People are jumping in on him.
Yep.
At some point, you might see more Caleb Johnson.
I'm basically done trying to figure out what Arthur Smith is going to do with our players in fantasy.
Darnell Washington.
I'm just over it.
Week 2, they re-signed Cordero Patterson.
Yes, and then I don't want that. My player, for what it's worth, is Aaron Jones, leading into my Jordan Mason conversation.
Well. Fair.
That. So, all right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys.
This is great. Yeah, enjoyed it.
A ton of fun.
Yeah,
can't wait to
on
come
vacation.
back.
So
no, you're not yet. We got a mock draft Monday coming up next week, so make sure you come back and hang out with us. Are you really going on vacation?
Yeah, I'm going to New York City right now.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, enjoy. Have fun.
Look at this guy.
I'll be there.
Jet setting around the world. All right.
Picking up kids. And
do they have golden margs in New York City or only in Miami?
We will find margs.
You will find margs.
We're going to get Saltaire margs. You ever have Saltaire?
No.
Foamy salt on top of the margarita.
Wow.
One of our favorite places to go.
I'm so proud of you, man. You've become like such a sophisticated lad. You know that?
You really have.
Well, that's
not you. That's not you.
That's a girlfriend raising my profile.
That's exactly what it is. All right. Well, if you got good margs recommendations in New York City, send them on over to Mike Clay NFL. He'll be in the city tonight. That's going to do it for us, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us the entire week. We cannot wait to see you next week. Come back on Monday for our mock draft project. We're going to keep on going mock drafts. Don't forget to love each other, be kind to yourself, and have a fun weekend. See ya.
You're in the 06